You ever have those days where your brain just feels like it's running on fumes? You know what I'm talking about? That feeling where you're trying so hard to focus, but your thoughts are just wading through thick mud? Well, it turns out that mental fog isn't just some vague feeling. It's actually tied to real physical things, like what's on your plate and your daily habits. So in this explainer, we're going to break down how you can cut through that fog and get that awesome superpower we call mental clarity. So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to kick things off by figuring out what this brain fog thing really is. Then we'll get into why clear thinking is such a game changer. After that, we'll get to the good stuff, the actual fuel and habits your brain is begging for. And we'll wrap up by looking at how to use all this when things get intense. Sound good? Let's dive in.
All right, first up, let's talk about the enemy here. That frustrating, all too common feeling that gets in the way of pretty much everything. We're talking about brain fog.
So, have you ever felt like your thoughts are just stuck in this thick, soupy fog? It's a feeling a lot of us know. You're trying to concentrate, right? But your thoughts are just sluggish, kind of sticky, and always just out of reach. It's like your brain is buffering. So frustrating. And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got brain fog. It's all about feeling confused, tired, slow. But then, on the other side, that's where we want to be. Mental clarity. That means being focused, sharp, and feeling totally in control. So how does this actually show up in your day-to-day life? Well, maybe you have a hard time focusing or just staying on one task. Or you feel kind of mixed up, a little lost. What about memory? Trouble recalling simple stuff? Or maybe things that used to be easy now feel like you're climbing a mountain. If you're nodding along to any of this, you're in the right place.
Okay, so we've identified the problem. Now let's pop the hood and see what's really going on. Why does this even happen? Because it's not just a feeling, right? There is some real science at play inside our brains.
And it's so important to know what we're actually aiming for. See, mental clarity isn't about having a totally empty mind. Not at all. It's about having an orderly mind. It's that state where your thoughts are clear, you can focus without all that background noise and stress, and you can make really solid choices. So, let me introduce you to the part of your brain that's running the whole show, the prefrontal cortex. Just think of it as your brain's CEO. It handles all the big stuff, complex thoughts, making decisions, managing your emotions. And just like any CEO, when it's happy and well-fueled, the whole company runs smoothly. You get clarity. But when that CEO is stressed out and overworked, yeah, that's when brain fog starts creeping in. So what's messing with our brain's CEO? Well, here are the four main culprits. First up, chronic stress. It just floods your system with cortisol, and that stuff can seriously mess with how your brain cells talk to each other. Then there's a lack of sleep. That's like telling your office cleaning crew they can't come in at night. All the junk just builds up. Poor nutrition? That's basically starving your CEO of the resources it needs to do its job. And, oh yeah, way too much screen time? That's just a one-way ticket to mental burnout.
Okay, enough with the doom and gloom about the problem. Let's start talking about solutions. And that brings us to one of the most powerful tools you have in your arsenal for fighting brain fog: what you eat.
You know, your brain is super hungry, and it's pretty picky about what it wants. It needs specific nutrients. Think of B vitamins. They're like the workers in a power plant, generating energy and creating those all-important neurotransmitters. Vitamin C and E, they're your brain's personal security detail, protecting it from damage. Magnesium acts like a chill-out coach, calming everything down. And zinc? Zinc is the librarian, organizing everything for memory and learning. Now get ready for this because it might surprise you. Your brain is almost 60% fat. And no, I'm not talking about the fat from a bag of chips. We are talking about the good stuff, the essential, healthy fats. Basically, you got to give your brain the right building materials. Healthy fats, like omega-3s, are literally the bricks and mortar that make up your brain cells. They're absolutely crucial for learning and memory. And, at the same time, antioxidants, the kind you get from things like berries and leafy greens. They're the maintenance crew, keeping those brain cells safe from everyday damage. But hey, let's be real for a second. Trying to get every single one of these nutrients every single day from food alone, that can be really tough. And the source material has this fantastic way of looking at it. It says to think of concentrated whole food nutrition as nutritional insurance. It's a smart way to make sure you're filling in any gaps. So the source then takes that idea of nutritional insurance and connects it to its own products. It suggests its ecosystem of capsules, shakes, and omega blends as one possible way to bridge those nutritional gaps that might exist in someone's daily diet.
But look, food is a huge piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle. So let's zoom out a bit and look at some other daily habits that are absolutely key for keeping your mind clear and focused.
Okay, let's talk about two absolute heavy hitters for brain health: sleep and exercise. Here's a great way to think about them. Sleep is your brain's night shift. It's the restoration and cleaning crew that comes in and clears out all the junk. Then you have exercise. That's like a premium delivery service, boosting blood flow to rush fresh oxygen and nutrients right to your brain cells. And honestly, the science on this couldn't be clearer. For most adults, that magic number is somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of quality sleep. And this isn't just some nice-to-have suggestion. It is non-negotiable. It's the time your brain desperately needs to file away memories and hit that big reset button for the day ahead.
And finally, we have to tackle stress, that classic fog machine. So think of these techniques as your go-to stress-busting toolkit. Deep breathing, that's like hitting an instant calm down button for your nervous system. Mindfulness meditation pulls your brain out of that worry spiral and into the right now. Journaling is a fantastic way to declutter your mind. And getting out in nature, that's just a total system reset.
All right, so we've talked about the how, the nutrition, the sleep, the stress management. But what's the payoff? What is all this clarity actually for? Well, let's put it to the test in a high-stakes situation where a clear mind isn't just helpful, it's your greatest asset, dealing with conflict. This, right here, is where all that effort pays off big time. You know how it is? When things get heated, it's so easy for our emotions to just hijack our brain and we just react. But mental clarity? That gives you that little bit of space, that critical pause that lets you choose to respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting. When you've got a clear head, you can take a step back from that emotional storm and actually see what's going on. You can say what you need to say clearly without going on the attack. And maybe most important of all, you can truly listen to the other person's side. And that is how you transform a potentially damaging argument into a chance for connection and growth. So, I'm going to leave you with this. We've laid out the toolkit for fueling your mind and finding that clarity. The real question is, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to use that newfound focus to turn those tricky moments of conflict, not just into moments of understanding, but into real, powerful growth in your life and in your relationships?